Hello and welcome to another Out of Spec Reviews video. Welcome to Sacramento, California, where you join me for EVS36, a huge electric vehicle show focused on EV charging, EV automakers, suppliers, and of course, like every video when we attend one of these events, we are going on a full tour. This is a global show this year in Sacramento. Last year was in Oslo. Next year is going to be in Seoul, South Korea. We're just lucky enough that it's here in America this time. We're going to see a bunch of charging hardware, a bunch of charging, manufacturers. What else is going to be here? Automakers, third-party suppliers, adapter companies, level 2 stations, a lot to do with charging. The hot topic, of course, is what is going on with the North American charging standard. Everyone seems to be waterfall effect adopting the Tesla NACS connector as the US standard. And, there's a lot of challenges to that, but I think it's exciting. The industry's getting shaken up. No one really knows what's going on or what to do. In this video, I'm going to take you on a full tour, and then I'm going to end the video with everyone's thoughts, my impression on everyone's thoughts on the whole NACS situation. And, I'll let you know what the general consensus of the show is. Well, you join me inside now where we are going on a full tour. You guys know how these things go. I'm going to be talking, sharing my opinions, sharing my thoughts on all of the different booths here, the different charging manufacturers, even some automakers here and a lot of suppliers, and definitely talking about the industry as a whole and each place of really each vendor that's here to display their stuff. So like I said, if you weren't able to come this year, we're going on the full tour. Now, EVS has been going on for a long time, but actually feels a little bit like a small event. What do you think, Alyssa?
Yeah, it's a lot smaller than what we've been to this year, so it'll be a lot shorter video, I would say.
I don't think it's going to be like a 2-hour-long video or anything, but we're certainly going to go through. And one thing that I kind of want to bring up is there's so many electric vehicle events this year and increasing every year. It'd be great to see them consolidated a little bit and maybe do 2 or 3 big shows throughout the year globally, because my impression is I keep seeing the same people at the shows and I'm like, if you're always just traveling, going to shows, are you getting any work done? So I don't know. Let's go. We have Daimler Truck North America starting us off. We have the Freightliner E-Cascadia right here. Not much to really go in depth here because we've already filmed with this. We're also planning to go over to Portland and film this. They have an electric island, like sort of charging interoperability test center. It's a really cool spot in Portland. 2 CCS ports on this particular one, which is really funny because they went with a low voltage architecture for this truck. They really should have gone 800-900 volts or even more. It's an early product. It's certainly Gen 1, if you will. But yeah, love the E-Cascadia. You can see they're using the power electronics chargers as part of their solution. So I'm not totally sure how that's working out for them, but yeah, hopefully good. We like the guys at Power Electronics, so thumbs up from me. Guess who's right up front, and guess who's not dead is Chadamo. The real consensus of the show is what's going to happen between CCS and NACS. I made a video that's called CCS is Dead. Everyone here feels like they watch it, and everyone has their own opinions, and generally I think we'll talk more about it, but I think people are accepting of NACS, and that's the way our country is going to go, and that's the vibe I'm getting from being here, which is great. So I came out to try and clear up any confusion and say we have to go that path. I don't know how this is still here, but Chadamo is still here. And actually Chadamo is still popular and is the standard in Japan, of course. And so you can see they actually shipped over a right-hand drive JDM spec Ioniq 5 with a Chadamo port. I believe it can only charge at 62.5 kilowatts as the maximum charge rate here. You can see it has J1772 on the right and Chadamo on the left, which is a really interesting solution. It's just something we don't have in our market, so it's really cool to be able to see this. It also shows why maybe the charging port is this shape to accommodate different markets here, but love that they brought this over. I think it's just so cool to see. And then of course you have the Leaf, which is this a US spec car. These are everywhere. We have a Leaf, of course. Now Chadamo is sort of on the way out in almost all markets and is moving to Chaoji. I want to show you this adapter or what this new connector could look like. And it's right here. And this is a high power connector right here. And it just looks super nice, super small. And this is what you're going to see possibly in China. We'll have to see what happens over there, but definitely in other markets in Asia for sure, this is going to be popular and take over. So Chaoji Very cool to be able to see it. They have an adapter here. Could be interesting to see. Very much looking forward to seeing what happens with that. It was also funny talking to some of the people at the Chadamo booth explaining to me how Chadamo's not dead in America and they're installing more stations. And I'm like, no, just get out of here. Go back to Japan. Chadamo, by the way, means stop for a cup of tea, or would you like a cup of tea? Or it generally translates to the amount of time it takes to charge where you can have a cup of tea. It's a cute name, and they even are making Chadamo bike chargers. I don't know what's up with that, but could be something to look into on our Scoots channel at least. I want to take a moment up front and talk about Charin, because we've attended Charin conferences before. I'm friends with a lot of the Charin members, and Charin really is the consortium around CCS and MCS. And if you watch our video, CCS is Dead, which I put out a few days ago, you'll notice I was like, Charin, what are you doing? Your response condemning Ford going to the Tesla NACS connector was tone deaf, like it wasn't great. And actually they kind of responded, was like, yeah, we kind of agree. Why don't we support NACS, which they just made their announcement not long ago that they're going to support the Tesla connector. This is the hot topic of the whole show. And what they're actually going to work on is creating an independent body to standardize the NACS port. And that is something I 100% can stand behind. I think in order for NACS to have mass adoptions, automakers need to feel comfortable that it's not 100% in Tesla's control. Cable manufacturers and port manufacturers need to have a spec to design to. They need UL rated things. And ultimately, we are going to go NACS. I'm fairly convinced of this. 99.9% convinced of this. Once we go over, Charin's still going to play a big role in shaping this into the future, of course, by getting key members of the industry together, hopefully to make this thing whole work. There's still some challenges with NACS. You can't just do a port swap because you share AC and DC on the same pins, and so there's some extra vehicle switchgear required and the software behind that. But ultimately, NACS will communicate on the same standard as ISO 15118-2. So interoperability between car and charger, I think, shouldn't be that big of a deal. But time will tell. I'll be joining their new consortium around NACS, following along, bringing you around, sharing the consumer, you guys, what we want as drivers, which is interoperable charging everywhere using the same connector in our market. And yeah, it's been wonderful. So Charin booth here, Rima, a very popular cable manufacturer. We use them all the time. This will look familiar to you. This is like on literally every charge point. CPE 250 has basically this connection and some others, but Rima is a very popular connection. And then again, that's the CCS handle. This is a CCS inlet port on the vehicle side they manufacture. And then they also have the Rima MCS situation here, which I'm not sure if there's a latch. Thank you very much. Latch on the vehicle side. Take a look at this. This can do up to 3 megawatt charging. This is probably I don't know, I would think maybe 1.5 megawatt connection, something like that. But this is very much the early days of MCS. Things are just starting to be made. You can see here's an ABB dispenser with a Rima MCS handle on it. All cool stuff. I could just nerd out all day. It's super, super neat. If we look to our left, Flow is here on display. We love the guys from Flow, love the products, huge reliability, cold weather tested. Flow is like, the backbone of Canadian charging, if you will. It's just absolutely epic. We've recently charged on this unit over here, which we used lamppost charging in Los Angeles. So this worked out really well. And Flow is going pretty hardcore in on sort of just installing their level 2 stations everywhere. Level 2 can solve so many problems. We don't make a big enough deal of it on this channel. We're always talking DC, high power charging. What's the fastest, coolest locations? A lot of times, level 2 or even just a wall outlet can get the job done. So you'll see some more level 2 content from us soon. This is the new Flow Ultra, their new high power DC fast charging unit. I've been so excited to see it. It's a very odd form factor. It almost can sit in between two parking spaces. It's a really cool looking unit. They have some sort of moving cable management up here. Really nice touch screens as well. Again, up to 320 kilowatts, about 160 kilowatt per port. Just a cool looking unit. We have to do a demonstration at some point soon. We're going to be trying to be one of the first to be able to share this with you when it goes, try and, bring you the first coverage of this thing actually charging some cars. I'm really interested to see the site designs for this, the noise outputs. I can see they're using the Huber Sooner cables, which is an interesting choice since we've had some reliability issues with Huber Sooner, but it might be a parts availability thing. I'm not sure. We'll have to see what the final cable, the final spec for this is when it comes out. We know the Flow guys, they'll keep us updated. We'll be able to share with you the early charging sessions of this. So this is a cool, brand new DC charger. The first time we're able to see it, and glad I was able to bring it. We are here with our friends at Flow, and could you show us the cable management system?
Well, absolutely. So
Thank
yeah,
you.
here's our new Flow Ultra. We're super excited to be showing this first time out at the show. So if I walk up to the system, obviously you can see, it's welcoming me to the system. I'll tap and says, first thing I got to do is plug in. And so I'll take my cable here, and as I just give it a little pull on the cable, you notice.
Right, so just a little pull.
Right, that's like an 18-foot cable. A lot of motion that I can get wherever I need to be. Plug my car in. Okay, so now, Terry, you want to go to my car and plug this? Okay, so now we're plugged in my car. I come back, and I can go up to the user interface and says, okay, I'm all ready to charge. Now that I'm plugged in, I can process my payment. I would have selected whether I was a guest or a member of the Flow network. And once it starts doing that, now it's starting to charge. Now we've got a simulated charge, so it's going to sync it's going to cinch up that extra cable so it's not laying on the ground.
Right, so you have some sort of motor up here that kind of pulls that in.
Exactly. So that motor, we got like a worm drive motor in there, so it's real nice and reliable. And so it's going to make sure to snug up that cable so we're not tripping over it, that we're not.
I've never seen cable management like that, and it's great because you know this. I mean, you roll up to chargers all the time and cable management's broken. There's slack everywhere. This really just gets it right up so the cable's never lying on the ground, no abrasion.
And it's really important because these liquid cooled cables are just much heavier than what people are accustomed to.
Yes.
And so by having that little extra support, especially when you're thinking about accessibility requirements, somebody who's maybe in a wheelchair, or maybe who's somebody not strong. My mom is like 5 foot tall,
sure,
weighs maybe $120. I mean, she's not going to be able to manage these big cables. So it's really nice to give that extra help.
Yeah, really helps take the weight off the cable. And I like this this connection that you have on here, so you don't have any minimum radius issues or pinching issues with how it goes in.
There's a lot of flexibility. Remember, sometimes we're going to have these in the system. I've got it in a pull-in configuration, so both interfaces are facing the same way. I could flip it so one interface is on either side. So
cool.
Through type of configuration.
This as a pull-through situation would be epic.
Yeah,
that would be really cool.
It would be really like a gas station. You could pull in either way. You can have both one side. And do it.
And all the charging equipment is done in here, right? The charging stuff.
Yeah. What we call a monolith design. So we've got all the power modules are going to be loaded within here. So I don't have to have a separate cabinet anywhere else. It really allows me to put these wherever I want. Oh, look. So now we're getting an indication that we've been on here plugged in too long.
Right.
So it's letting us know by that yellow indicator, hey, it's time to unplug.
Yeah. So for those of you out there in the wild, when you see a yellow, it means idle fees.
Exactly.
And yeah, you got charged $5 in idle fees. How about that? Very cool.
Oh, it's a $44 session. That was pretty quick.
Yeah, should have been a member.
There you go. You should have been a member. Exactly.
No, so cool. And congratulations on the new charger. And we, of course, can't wait to charge on it, like we mentioned earlier in the video. And it just looks awesome. It's a new form factor of a charger that we've never seen before. It might set the industry tone going forwards, though.
I sure hope so. We were at the Tech show earlier this year when we first launched it, and everybody's like, it's the only one charger I could say in this room that feels sexy.
Yeah,
sure. Right? Just the lights, you don't get it on camera, but it really is nice and bright and really shows off the status.
Well, great work to your design team. Great work, of course, to your reliability teams. Flow has always been top reliability. We're hoping the best for this one, too. Time will tell out in the field, but we have high expectations, and it sounds like it's going to be a great unit.
All right, fantastic. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks. See ya. Let's run back this way now and see what else we can find. I figured since we're on the topic of DC fast charging, let's talk about another super exciting DC fast charging manufacturer. One of my favorites from Europe, now launching in the US, launching with a Tesla connector. Pretty much everyone's going with a Tesla connector natively on sale with their charging equipment. Flow is doing it. They were one of the first ones to announce it. Alpitronic is here and they are going all in as well. And from a charging manufacturer standpoint, why not include the NACS connector? Support it. You gain support of you guys, me, we're all in, they're all in. Charge point operators want to sell electricity. I made this point in the video when I talked about it. So the whole industry is like, NACS, yeah, let's do it. Sounds great. So, which is really awesome to see. And it's just happening so fast. It's like this tidal wave of just, I would say, this switchover. It's really cool. So there's a few units here. There's the Hypercharger 400, the 200, and the 50. And I'll very briefly walk you through the model line of Alpitronics. For some of you who don't know, they're based in sort of the northern Italy Alp situation. Very popular charger in Europe. If you're watching in Europe, you've probably charged on these many times. They are rock solid. They are incredible chargers. They have great cable management. Love truly everything about this. Their base software package gives you a charging curve, super neat. They're now using silicon carbide rectifiers in here. The bricks are 100 kilowatt bricks in between. So if you come back here, are we able to pop one of these open actually?
Of course.
Yeah, great. So they're going to try and open one up so I can show you inside. But essentially there's 4 bricks of 100 kilowatts each of charging power inside the 400. The 200 will have 2 of them. I'll get to the 50 in just a second. And you can do dynamic port sharing in about 50 kilowatt increments, which is pretty great. So out of that 100 kilowatt brick, they're basically split down the center. That's what's almost in here, although this can go down to 25 kilowatt granularity, so you can do 25 kilowatt per port. But take a look in here, you have their silicon carbide stack, which is just a super cool looking unit. They're quiet, they're reliable. I cannot wait to charge with these in the US. Let's hope there's not major issues yet. There's no publicly installed versions of these yet, but certainly will be soon, so keep an eye out. They're moving their headquarters to Charlotte, North Carolina, which I think is a great situation. So great city for them to be in, and again, we'll be covering them around. The thinner version just has 2 of those chargers in there, 2 of the onboard rectifiers, and you can see dual output split. And again, you can go 50 kilowatt increments in terms of granularity. So you can have one car at 150 kilowatts, the other at 50, and it can dynamically shift the power. You can do split to 100 each. I want to show you over here the Hypercharger 50 because I think lower power DC is going to be an important part of our market going forwards. And the first thing you'll notice is cable management. Super cool. Take a look at this. I can pull this cable out. I can go all the way back and watch this thing bend. I can barely feel any extra force on the cable right here. It's a really, really nice cable management system, returns back to center. Absolutely love this. It'll be interesting to see how this holds up in different weather conditions. This essentially has a half a brick from inside of one of these. And like I mentioned, it can do 25 kilowatt split here. So you can see there's 2 cars in this demo charging each at 24.8 kilowatts or whatever it would be. It could be pedestal mounted, wall mounted. Alpitronic is here. Truly, I have said for a long time that we needed 3 things in the US before electric vehicle adoption could work. We needed reliable charging, and those reliable chargers had to come from Power, ABB, and Alpitronic. You've heard me say it a million times. Alpitronic's now here in the US. Cannot wait for the first installations. We'll try and be there, close to day one, early charges, just absolutely cool. So let's move on from here. There's going to be a ton of cool stuff to go into with Alpitronic, but I'm just so pumped that they're launching in the US. So thanks guys, appreciate all of it. And let's continue along. There's so many new small companies back here that are making, for example, Meg Meat makes rectifiers for DC fast charging equipment. These guys over here, IOC Charger, make level 2 units, and they even make some interoperability sniffers, it looks like, so you can actually get the data from a charging unit. These guys over here at Meg Meat, you can see they have an onboard charger. They have 2 different DC rectifiers there. They even have a sealed unit, a 40 kilowatt unit on the end, so there's no ambient air transfer. Yeah, liquid cooled unit, no ambient air transfer. Absolutely love that. I'm a big fan of reducing ambient air through the actual charging equipment. Some have been able to do it reliably, some haven't, but it just reduces complexity. You can see just all of these cable manufacturers and level 2 solutions, and they're kind of from everywhere. It's hard to say what's good, what's not good without some testing. There's a lot of new companies here. My impression is the industry is going through a big boom right now. There's a lot of money being spent. There's huge amounts of investment in electric vehicle infrastructure. I think we're going to see a consolidation over the next few years as to the really big players and who they are and what they're doing. The reason I'm sort of pulling you along this way, you can see more DC fast charging manufacturers here. A lot of the equipment, because EVS36 is a global sort of symposium, if you will, a lot of this isn't available in the US, so I'm kind of skipping over what's not. sort of going to be publicly available in the near term since most of you guys live in America. But it is a global show. There's global products. And speaking of that, yes, we're just in the middle of doing a video. You can see over here, ChemPower is here. Of course, we love ChemPower. It's super exciting. They just made the announcement this morning that they will be in full support of the North American charging standard, and absolutely love their solution. We've made plenty of videos with ChemPower, how they work, how they look. We've done interviews with Tomi, their CEO, with engineers, with salespeople. They're putting their US headquarters in Durham, North Carolina with their factory there. It's going to be absolutely awesome. You can see it's an off-grid cabinet situation with basically the coolest dispenser in the business, I would say. You show up to a ChemPower station, I've used them many times. They're hugely popular in the Nordics. You can be sure they're going to work, they're going to rip, unbelievable reliability, and just the coolest design. And soon I cannot wait for them to have the Tesla connector baked into them natively. So let's run back up this way. There's again a few different charging companies there in the back right that won't come to the US. A lot of new level 2 startups, and a lot of them from China that are here. And honestly, it's hard to differentiate them, if I'm honest. It's really important, I think, if you're a Chinese charging supplier, which there seems to be new ones every day, that you come in with a US, not just Google translated poster, that you come in hot with unique products, not just off-the-shelf stuff, because it kind of just blends into a whole bunch of these third-party, I don't even know how to describe them. They're just kind of all the same plasticky feeling stuff. And then again, the big boys, the ABBs with the level 2s, the Autels, these are the guys making the serious hardcore chargers that people are really going to go for. So that's pretty interesting as well. Where should we go? We should definitely come back up this way, but let's move along. We have SK Signet, a huge DC fast charging provider in America. We all know they're one of the 2 major suppliers that Electrify America selected for their Gen 4 units. They actually have one of the dispensers on display over here. And one major problem we've had with them is the Signet surge, and that's what this is right here. So huge problems charging high voltage cars. Everyone in the industry has told me something different, that they're changing power modules, that they're going to fix XYZ. Signet won't reply to any email we send to them about any of the issues with the Signet surge. I'm not sure why, but to be honest, we're left a little bit in the dark, which I think is a shame, because anytime you try and charge a high voltage car on an Electrify America Signet charger, which there are many, we have major problems getting a consistent charging experience, and we're just left, sadly, in the dark. So we're back to where we started over here at Flow. Let's take a look to our right. You can see Schneider Electric has a huge booth here, absolutely going all out. They are very popular in making electric switchgear. Fleet charging is a huge business for them, and they've also brought along a vehicle on display, which I will show you over here. We'll just squeeze around. The Chadamo booth is the biggest booth here. I don't know if this is their last hurrah, what they're doing, but I don't know. I haven't seen that many Japanese in attendance here, so I'm not sure who they're pitching to. I hate to be so rude to Chadamo, but it's just like, come on. What we really should have is a Chadamo to CCS adapter or a Chadamo to NACS adapter. I think could be really helpful. But look, a Lyric. Only the second time we've been able to bring this car to you on our channel. It's been one of our most requested vehicles to test and review, Alyssa. And I'm sorry, but I have not had the chance to really track one down yet. Typically they go into a press fleet, we're able to borrow them. These have not made their way into the press fleet for us to spend time with yet. So I got to start calling up some dealers, because I know they're delivering, or if any of you guys own a Lyric, let me borrow it, because I really want to get some stuff there. Eaton is a huge name in the automotive space. They're one of the largest suppliers out there. Actually, your cousin works for Eaton, Alyssa. So, we're big fans, love what's going on. And let's take a look at some charging equipment over here. You can see they have one of their DC chargers on display, which looks absolutely awesome. We're gonna go in depth and do a little bit more with them soon. So stay tuned perhaps for, it'll be some time so we can get into some of their charging equipment. But you can also see different connectors. This is a fuse box. I showed you this actually at ACT, was it, Alyssa? They have this thing there. It's basically a pyro fuse in essence, in operation, but it's self-resetting. And I don't know, they have 5 or 10 cycles that they can go through rather than having to replace the whole battery pack. So this is a really cool piece of technology. They also have great level 2 solutions, and you can see a whole bunch of controllers, a whole bunch of power electronics, gear sets, Just again, a very cool supplier to the EV industry, a little bit like Magna, of course, and they are competitors in certain areas. They also do things a little bit differently in other areas. But the world would not be what it is today without Eaton, and nor would our cars be. So that's really cool to see, sort of them here supporting the EV movement and going deeper into it. BTC Power is, we've spoken about them at ACT as well. A company that is really open to understanding their problems and fixing them. And the reason I know that is because we gave them one of the, unfortunately, the worst stories in the EV space of the year. We had a video where chargers weren't working in the cold. It was their hardware on Electrify America, branded chargers. It was their network. It got cold, charger stopped working. And I have some stories too. They literally flew people out the next day from BTC to try and solve the problem, get it working, understand what was going on, and they ultimately fixed the chargers. And we found bugs that they didn't in testing. So I have to say, I've spoken to these guys. They were basically, thank you so much for letting us for finding out about the issue. We flew our people out, canceled their Christmas vacation, fixed the chargers there in collaboration with Electrify America. And, I'm just hearing about these stories now, months after that video has gone up. But great to see that, we're really, I would say, helping the industry with using chargers in harsh conditions. And BTC had a great attitude about it. I'll forever, sort of appreciate their response. And they have some cool units. So they have, I would call it like the old workhorse. These things have been around forever. And I think it's probably time and due for an update. Up to 70 amps though, which is pretty great. Level 2 station, made of metal, hardcore. And these things are workhorses. You'll see them in any Silicon Valley parking lot as an example. So that is still here. But I want to show you this. This is the first time we're able to see the new all-in-one sort of working. I saw it at Charin, but I wasn't able to film it for you. Built-in all-in-one charger. They'll also have a version of split charging system where they'll have off-board DC cabinets and then, sort of this as a dispenser. But essentially, yeah, come around, take a look at the front. Super cool design. Huber Schooner cable on this particular one. Not sure why they put the Chadamo on there. No one uses it anymore. But essentially 180 kilowatts in this particular version. Not sure why they need 500 amp cables for 180 kilowatts, but hey, we'll take it. Big boy cables are always great. So I can't wait to see these installed. I'm not sure who's going to be installing them. I haven't heard of any deals, but it all could be good. Come on down this way because there's more stuff to get into. Watt saving is over here on the right. They have some level 2 equipment, some bidirectional equipment, some interesting things going on here. Of course, DC equipment as well. Hello. And, just some interesting stuff. You can see a portable discharger, which we absolutely love. So this is super cool. You can plug this into GBT. Is this how this works? And then you get your power on out. Amazing. Very cool. Good. Thanks for showing us. And then John Han is, of course, one of the best connector manufacturers out there, but they make a whole bunch of other stuff. So, hey guys, sorry to crash your party, but you can see they have a whole bunch of high voltage connections that go in the vehicle, but also in charging equipment. Do you have any of your level 2 handles that we can show people around?
Yeah. This is the handles for the mechanical.
Oh, yep, sure. So some mechanical connections here.
And the power, HVL.
Yeah, great. All cool stuff. This is all next level, sort of almost aerospace grade. You guys are, not the cheapest, but maybe some of the best out there. Take a look over here at some of the handles. We're familiar with this because our friends who make the Juice Booster use John Han connections. So I have this exact connection on a lot of the stuff that we use. Really nice integrated latch for J1772. Again, you guys got to start working on the NACS connectors, and they're all in, and all good. You can see they have some Chowji stuff over here as well. So yeah, it's just awesome to see really high quality connectors from a great brand. So if you ever see John Han, I'm a fan. They make good stuff. So thank you guys. We'll see you all later on. It's great to see the enthusiasm out there. Hey there, how's it going? So this is Infy Power, innovation for your power. It looks like it has to do with bidirectional stuff. What exactly do you guys do? Obviously you make DC modules.
Yeah, we will charging module from AC to DC, DC to DC, bidirectional AC to DC.
Amazing. Are you in any production chargers now?
We manufacture some white label charging for charging station for our key customer.
Okay, great. So you're really on the back end making the charging equipment, if you will, the
Yeah.
rectifiers and everything like that.
Mainly focus on the charging module. You know, we have the fan cooling module, we have liquid cooling module.
Yeah.
We have a full range module from 15 kilowatts up to 40 kilowatts.
Wow. What's your opinion on having liquid cooled versus air cooled?
You know, for some customers, they want very quick charger, so they need the liquid cooling module.
Yes, yes. Also maybe good for reliability because there's no ambient
it can
air.
reduce the how to say the maintenance work.
Yeah.
You know, for liquid cooling module, they do the charger, they can do IP65 charger.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So this is why, you know, we find, for example, Tesla version 3 chargers and charge points, sealed units is what we're discussing, and much higher reliability than some open air chargers, but still good stuff. You even have a 62.5 kilowatt module.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
for energy storage.
Energy storage, I see. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Well, it was really nice to meet you. Thanks for the information.
Yeah.
And we'll see you around the show. Thanks. Bye-bye. Yeah. So just cool, different companies you wouldn't think would be in the space. Again, so I'm not sure what charging equipment uses them, but you know, you open up the cabinets and you see those DC chargers like I showed you in the Alpitronic unit. Now Alpi makes their own, but these guys are supplying DC rectifying equipment for, you know, who knows? I don't know. So Toyota's actually here, which is really interesting. They've been going to a lot of EV specific shows recently while not having many electric cars. They really only have one, the BZ4X, which they've brought the BZ4X and they have it right up front. And they have a hybrid over here on the left. They have the Prius hybrid, and then they have their Mirai hydrogen, which there's no talk about hydrogen at this show, but I do like the Mirai. Some of our biggest videos, I always say, are with the Mirai. And I actually can't wait till we get a hydrogen station in Colorado because I want to buy a Mirai, and they're so cheap used. You can pick them up for pennies. And I just think it'd be cool to see how hydrogen handles really hot weather, high elevation, cold weather, because I'm just not familiar enough with the technology. For example, if I deep freeze an EV overnight, I know if I plug it into a charger, it's not going to plug and charge right away. You know, it's got to warm up the battery. What's going to happen with hydrogen? Especially as trucks will move towards hydrogen. I don't know. I want to find out. There's a whole bunch of crazy things where you have to purge the tank if the car is going to sit in deep freezing environments because it might crack the hydrogen block. It gets pretty crazy, but I definitely want to explore more for sure. We're back over here at the Charon booth, a beautiful Porsche Taycan. Looks to be just a rear-wheel drive version. That's actually from their marketing fleet out here in the West Coast. Spent a lot of time talking with the Porsche charging guys today, and yeah, just really cool stuff going on here. Taycan, by the way, the first ever production car to support plug-in charge through certificate exchange. So that's really Porsche's, you know, leading the way in the charging side. How long will it take for them to switch to NACS? I think maybe sooner than we all think. But again, sooner than we all think, still years away. You know, because Ford and GM are 2025 baking it into their vehicles natively. I imagine the Germans will be just a couple years behind this. This is an interesting company over here on the right. It's actually called EV Charging. They named their business EV Charging. And before I tell you a little bit more about them, because I went on a full product tour of this, which is pretty cool, EVS37 will be in Seoul, Korea in 2024, next year. So I guess we got to go to Korea next year, something I've been wanting to do for a really long time because of all the Hyundai Kia stuff over there, but also huge advancements in charging, and also a very odd market because they actually use the Tesla NACS connector and CCS1 in South Korea. So this is pretty cool. But come take a look. They have a whole line of level 2 products down the side, up to 80 amps, 19.2 kilowatts. They have their own software back end called Octopus, and it can, you know, basically track all of your things. Each company we've seen has their own back end like this, but this looks beautiful with a phone app. And of course, they have DC fast charging equipment that's all in one, or even split power up to 480 kilowatts. And I was like, whoa, how have we never heard of EV charging? And then they were like, we are the white labelers. They produce a lot of stuff, sell it to whoever, you know, wants to be sales, and then they can very easily spin up a full product line in any market using this base load equipment. Now, I'm not a huge fan of this cable management system here. I think this is pretty weak sauce, but overall, I mean, some of their level 2 stuff seems cool and pretty innovative. And going in with the name EV Charging, they just freaking nailed it. Love to see that. Now, of course, we're going from a white labeler to one of the leading manufacturers of reliable and hardcore DC fast charging equipment, ABB. No secret, I've always been a fan of ABB. I certainly, find stations occasionally that are down or whatever. But in general, even today, some of the very early ABB hardware that's installed is some of the hardest core reliability out there. So let's run over. I'll show you. They have some fleet charging solutions over here on the right. And you can see the big DC cabinet right over here on the left, and that can feed, of course, the dispensers this way. This is one of their level 2 units over here. We can do definitely a little bit more, but what I really want to show you is the two workhorse products of America, which is right over here. So you'll have the Terra 184. We've done quite a bit with this charger out there. Just an awesome unit, maybe not the most beautiful unit, but certainly rips. We've done plenty of videos on that. And dual port option, you can do split charging power. And yeah, just a really cool thing. Yeah, I don't need to tell you about that. What you're going to be looking at is, what the heck is this? Now, in Europe, we've made a video before charging on the ABB Terra 360. Finally, we have one on display. I'm able to show it to you for the first time in the US. Super cool lighting on the outside, great design, all in one unit, absolutely beautiful. Unsure of what the final cable specs will be, but overall, just a freaking awesome looking thing. No idea when they'll be installed or what's that all gonna look like, but now at least I'm able to show it to you for the first time. And yeah, can't wait to do more with Terra 360. Stay tuned, I'm sure we'll film it as soon as we can and do some charge testing with it, but just awesome unit. So let's continue on. Hey guys, we'll see y'all later on. Did I miss anything? Is there anything else you wanted to say? Okay. Okay, great. We'll see you later. Okay, great. So Vestel back again, more units. I always see them at events and shows, this company, but I never actually see them out in the public. Yeah, so I think we'll probably just kind of continue along because this is the same booth they've had at other shows that we've taken you through. And again, you can see a John Hahn connection here. Love to see that. Really sick. All works great. I really like this. If you're going to stick with CCS or, J1772, this is a really nice connector. And I know Sandy Monroe said you should never put a handle on your handle, or you shouldn't need anything to put a handle on your handle. But if you are going to choose one with a handle, that's a nice connector. Not sponsored, but maybe one day, John Hahn, hit us up. Great. Well, what else should we go? I'm looking straight ahead because I see Amphenol right here in the distance. And if you want to nerd out about cables, we're going to have some podcasts coming up with some of my friends who work at Amphenol discussing the challenges of making NACS cables and NACS connectors, and is there a spec to design to, and how will UL certification work for these? And well, they are one of the leading manufacturers of cables. If you guys remember the new charger, the 700 kilowatt mobile charger that I filmed, that had, I don't even remember if it was 600, 700 or 800 amp rated cable, immersion cooled from Amphenol, prototype cable. And it felt like a version 3 supercharger. It was so cool and such high power. These guys are really pushing the industry on high power cables that are also usable and not crazy heavy. So take a look through here on the booth. You can just look at all of the different connectors that they have. Just absolutely awesome to see all of that. Different versions, different amperage levels, inlet ports on the cars, outlet ports from the chargers, of course. And Amphenol is something to stay tuned. It doesn't make sense to go all in right now because there's plenty to come. But yeah, absolutely love to see that. Can't wait to share with you some of the stories that we're going to be coming up with. And then Tritium, one of my favorite DC fast charging hardware manufacturers, mainly because they've been around longer than almost anyone. They were back in the day when ABB was doing their thing. Tritium was early. You guys remember the screaming 50 kilowatt units that Bjorn would make videos with before I was ever making YouTube videos at the Fortum sites? Well, that's all Tritium, and this is their newer units. And a few different companies all down this way. We'll definitely get to them here in a little bit, and we'll come over and do some stuff with you guys for sure. And more connectors, different things over here. Hey guys, how's it going? And what should we show next? So Tritium's got a huge booth here. Let's go over and see what's happening at the Hubject booth. This is cool. We're gonna get nerdy for a second. What they've done here is when you do plug and charge on Electrify America, as an example, you plug in your Porsche Taycan, it says, hey, I'm Kyle's Porsche Taycan. Alyssa, just move a little bit this way because we almost got run over. And there's a certificate exchange that happens. Essentially, you enter an SSL feed, you get, basically you want to verify this is the car, this is the charger in a secure process. What they're doing now with EVgo and one other provider, I'm not exactly sure, is they're showing on a BMW i7 multiple contracts installed in one vehicle. So you plug and charge and you can say, let me use my free EA charging or let me use my workplace charging. And that's a big deal because up to this point, we've only supported one plug and charge contract in a vehicle. Now, between this and with roaming, Hubject at the center of it, it'll be great. I've mentioned Hubject a few times, and again, we'll go in depth on all of these topics because I just don't want to talk over them because they're doing their presentation now. Hubject is really at the center of certificate exchange. And what that means is, well, should we go all in depth on this right now? Essentially, they're handling the process to make sure that the charger tells the car it's the charger and the car tells the charger it's the car. And, basically at the center. But, for example, Rivian, I don't believe uses Hubject for plug and charge. So even though the trucks are capable of plug and charge, they can't plug and charge on any Hubject approved station. We'll have to see how this all plays out. We're going to do some videos with these guys soon, digging into that process, because I'm not an expert on certificate exchange for 15118-2 plug and charge process, but I want to learn more. I want to bring you guys along the journey with me, and it's going to be a cool process to see. More companies all around through here. There's a Indian charging manufacturer called Quench over here. I'll just take you by. They're going to be building them in the US as NEVI compliant chargers. They have a mobile 30 kilowatt charger as well. Again, just tons of different little pieces of the puzzle of the EV world. It gets pretty crazy. And so here's their mobile 30 kilowatt unit. They have this large one here. And, we'll definitely do more with these guys, talk more about their chargers in the future, but just wanted to at least show you what's going on here. And so that is pretty neat. And, I don't know, what else should we do? These guys are actually doing some cool stuff. They are making motors for the next generation eGMP car, they tell me, as a supplier. So that's pretty sick. Ioteca's on the backside there. We've talked about Ioteca when we were doing some char and stuff. They make some cool equipment. First of all, right at the center of plug and charge enabled level 2 and DC fast charging units. They also make the sniffers, so you can put sort of essentially a magnet around a DC fast charging cable and sniff the signals running between the car and the charger. And it's pretty freaking sweet. So again, something to explore when we do some real nerd deep dives over here. This is Zorova, definitely a company I wanted to talk about because Zorova is a name we've seen at a few shows, but we don't really talk about them on a daily basis. And they're actually a hardcore manufacturer of DC fast charging equipment for other people. So you can see here, for example, they have a Shell Recharge branded unit. They have a Blink branded unit over here, and they kind of keep their names off the charger for, the most part. So think of ABB, think of Flow, think of Tritium. This is another competitor in the DC space. So many of them. They're going huge screens on some of these. They have all-in-one units. They have split systems. They all have their own way of sharing power, but really beautifully designed units. Come on over this way. I just want to show you this one over here that's branded with Blink. Cool unit. Yeah, we got to do some testing. I don't think I've actually ever charged on one of these out in the public. So Zorova, if you're watching this, we got to go charge on your charger because this is pretty freaking sweet, all of these. I want to hear the noise. I want to figure out why you chose these cables. I want to, hey, how's it going? Great to see you.
Good to see you again.
So do you want to tell the YouTube viewers quickly what Zorova is all about? Let me pull this off. I'll give you the mic really quick. Here you go. Hold this close to your face if you can.
Okay, so Zorova, we are basically an OEM manufacturer for EV charging station.
Yep.
We've been in business for over 50 years. Our parent company is called Home.
Okay.
And they've been doing power adapter. If you ever own a BlackBerry, Motorola, Nokia cell phone, you're using our product.
Oh, great.
And then we also do OEM for like Facebook. We just won a project for SpaceX.
Oh, no way. Great.
Yeah. So we've been in business since 1972. And then we start doing EV charging in about 2014.
Okay.
And
so
then
2014 is early for EV charging.
Oh yeah, we started in China because the manufacturer is in China.
Yes, that's where everything was going. Yeah.
Yes, and now we have factory in Vietnam, in Taiwan, and we're setting up a factory right here in Arizona.
Oh, in Arizona, amazing, very cool.
Yeah, because with the Barbara, the Navy requirement, made in USA is important, right?
Yes.
So we're going to kick off the factory here in Q4 this year.
Oh, amazing! Congratulations.
Thank you.
We got to come to charge on your chargers someday.
Oh, yes.
So email us. Let us know when we can come because I want to test them out.
Sure. And we have the widest range of DC product, all the way from the smallest, you see that small, 30 kilowatt. We manufacture for Bosch.
Oh, okay, great.
Bosch, Teco Westinghouse, and that unit we make for Porsche.
Oh, yeah.
And Audi,
Yeah,
so all the dealership.
That's what they're using.
This one, are you familiar with this name?
Yeah, of course.
Stellantis.
Yeah.
We already ship over 1,000 units of 180
In Europe.
here.
Oh, in the U.S. Wow.
Yeah, on the Stellantis dealership.
Yeah. Okay.
So we ship over 1,000 180 kilowatt to them.
That's a lot of chargers.
A lot
Holy
of chargers.
smokes. Well, that's amazing. It was really nice to see you. Thank you
really
so
nice
much.
to see you.
I'll steal the mic back, but we'll see you in
Let me
YouTube
give
soon.
you my card, so if you
Yes,
have any
great.
question, feel free to contact me.
Yes, thank you so much. And I think our viewers will really enjoy.
Yeah, I'm the vice president of the business development.
Great. Thank you so much. It was nice to see
Thank
you.
you. Nice
Yes.
meeting you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Great. Well, now I'm locked back in. That was great. You just meet crazy people at the show. So now we know about Zorova. I learned all of that right there, real time. Great to see it. Again, more companies down here, more things. But I mean, to try and get you into names that you do know, Blink is a name that you know. And Blink hasn't had the best reliability since day one. Have they, Alyssa? No. And they, almost did themselves a disservice. They were really early on providing EV charging solutions. And early on, they really had a charge point-like business model, and they still do today, where they sold units to other people to install and operate and run on their back end. And then they weren't ever, hold on 1 second. Hey, Michael.
Can I get your business card?
I don't have one, sadly, but maybe on LinkedIn.
On LinkedIn?
Yes, if you just go Kyle Connor on LinkedIn.
Okay.
You'll be able to see.
Let me see if I can.
Sorry about that. So anyway, I was explaining Blink's business model. They would early on take their charger, sell it to third party with their name on it, and then the third party owner and operator of the station would let it go. The cable would get run over, there'd be a malfunction, they wouldn't actually fix it, and it gave Blink, I would say, a pretty bad name because you roll up to a station, it says Blink, it's down. And similar thing with ChargePoint as well. ChargePoint sells their equipment, it's labeled ChargePoint. If you don't subscribe to their service contracts and they're not rolling trucks to fix it, you roll up to a ChargePoint station, it's down, well, that's a bummer. And so I told Blink, you got to stop putting your name on your chargers unless you're owning and operating them, because that's when you can stand behind it. But we'll see what happens. Anyway, Blink, I think, huge change in leadership in the company recently. A big push for reliability, a big push for new equipment. They're going to be designing and engineering their own DC charger. Again, they, I think, buy some equipment from Zorova. But take a look at this. They're one of the first ones to make a North American charging standard announcement on their charger right here, and they'll offer it from the factory in a public setting as well with a NACS connection right on there. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing that. It's going to be absolutely awesome. The more Tesla connections we can have, the better. I'm glad Blink is all in on this. And of course, we're familiar with all of their units. They have their level 2 units. The ones that I really enjoy actually are these right over here, up to 80 amp output. We've used these on road trips many times. They rock. Their new level 2 stuff, great cable, great handle, really chunky, hardcore, love the whole display here. We got some friends over at Blink as well, and this thing rocks. So the future of Blink is looking bright. What they do about the brand reputation, what they do about their past sort of early Gen 1 chargers that gave them, I would say, a relatively bad name in the market now, I'm not sure. But all I can say is all the new stuff seems great, going hardcore into NACS. Keep an eye on Blink, because I think they're going to be a huge player here coming soon, personally. So we're back to where we started. Is there anything else to take a look at? We might do a couple little, showcases here or there. For example, Brugg over here has, a 500 amp CCS connection with their thing. Really don't think it even makes sense to focus too much on CCS because, in my opinion, we're all going NACS. And that's what I want everyone here to get on board with. And honestly, everyone kind of is, which is very cool. So Let's do a couple little spotlights at certain booths around those that we missed in the walk around. Then let's finish up with our final thoughts and the general consensus of the switch to the Tesla connector after talking to everyone in the industry here, because that's been the hot topic. And then we'll wrap up the video. Super fun time, loving EVS36. It may not be the biggest show, but it certainly is condensed. Everyone who's in the industry that needs to be here is here. And yeah, just a cool experience for sure. You join me over at XCharge now, and behind the camera is Brandon Flash. So make sure you subscribe to the Brandon Flash YouTube channel. What's it actually called?
It's just Brandon Flash.
Yeah, okay, so I got it right.
Yep.
Dude, XCharge, Alex,
Kyle,
nice to see you.
nice
We
to see you
put
again.
on Twitter yesterday that you guys are in full support of Tesla connector. Not only full support, you're the only ones with a working charger with NACS here.
We are. And
Come take a look.
yeah, come take a look. I mean, it might seem a little thick. It's,
Yes,
you know,
certainly.
Gen 1 unit, but hey, look, it works. We've tested it before. We've tested on different vehicles. We don't have a problem with the charge rate. It's a 200 amp cable, air cooled.
Yeah, not the fastest thing on the planet. Doesn't need to be, not every
Doesn't-
charger needs the rate.
And it doesn't need to because we're going at a 95 kilowatt rate, right? We're
Yep.
only using 200 amps in.
Yep.
We don't need more than that, right? Our output is 200 amps, so our input is 200 amps. We don't need more.
So this is a cool charger. In general, what's the difference between this and the big boy over there?
Yeah. Well, the big boy over there, we've got a 233 kilowatt hour battery.
So 233 kilowatt hour battery pack.
And it's bi-directional, so you can put that energy back into the grid. This is a standalone DC fast charger. So this here is what you see is what you get. No power cabinets.
All in one.
All in one, 5 module stack. It can also run on 208 or 480.
Okay.
So that's really the difference maker.
So
it's
really
obviously a
plug it
factory
into
configuration.
anything.
Yeah.
But that's really cool because the amount of 208 capable DC chargers are really low out there. And actually, there's like a lot of 208 everywhere. So this could be a really popular unit.
About 95% of commercial locations are already pre-wired with 208.
Yeah.
So when we're looking at installs, I mean, you're often having to upfit. It's a lot of cost. It's a lot of time. And this cuts through that noise, right? So you're looking at places that you're not going to do a hub of chargers. I'm not looking to put in 6 to 12 of these in one location on 208 because at that point you probably might as well go 480 and have a faster charger at the end of the day.
Yes.
But when we look at these, it's a single site, 1, 2 chargers on site.
Right, it's like why rewire the entire area when you can just slap these in?
Yeah.
Again, not the fastest, but not everything needs to be fit perfectly for this. So tell
Fleet use
me,
cases especially too. Bridge solution.
are they in market now?
They are in market, UL certified. We're
Wow.
full scale. We're pushing out. I got some that are on the way. We got new installs that are coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Right.
So,
Congrats. Yeah, that's
thank you.
pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But this is, I would say, cooler. I mean, not.
This is definitely more unique.
Yeah.
Definitely more unique.
So, what is going on here? Because this is one pallet, basically.
It is. All right. So normally, this is going to be a connected unit. You're
Okay.
not going to have that gap in between.
So no gap. This will be
Yeah.
one brick that drops in.
Exactly. And actually in the picture around back, which you're going to check out later, there's
Yeah.
a metal skid that it sits into.
Okay.
That battery sits into it. All the wiring is done underneath.
Yep.
Right now, this runs on 480. We're tracking towards the 208 version as well.
That would be great.
It's part of our just our thought process, right?
Yeah.
And our rationale and ethos on the solutions that we're providing in the US. We're trying to do things that are more in infrastructure grid constrained areas. So
Yeah.
trying to serve that customer set.
Well, you did a
which,
great job with that one.
Thank
And
you.
now with having a battery, you can do really low input power if
Exactly.
everything's maxed out. So what is the input power minimum requirement for this?
minimum, we generally aim for 100 amps in.
100 amps. Okay.
You can tailor a little bit more, like a little bit lower,
Yeah.
down to 60, but at that point, kind of your recharge rate gets a little skewed, right?
Okay.
It's got 2 bidirectional modules in the backside, 22 kilowatt bidirectional modules.
Oh, great. So you could do 44 kilowatt out.
Exactly. And that's kind of one of the main points is if in the event that you drain that whole battery, right, you're getting back-to-back charging all day out, you can still draw 44 from the grid.
Right, 44 kilowatt minimum charging output is great and better than your competitors in that sense,
Yeah.
at least with their products for today. So when is this going to make it to market? Obviously, it's early days, but what's the timeline?
We have an install that'll be going live in the next about week and a half.
Oh, so like now?
Yeah, in Allen, Texas.
Texas,
So,
hell yeah.
near Dallas.
Great.
So, yeah, that'll be up and running. We're gonna actually have a C6 on the same site.
Oh, great.
As the plan as well. So it'll kind of be a good testing and demo center that we'll have at our partner's facility, MD7.
Great,
Yep.
great. Well, we got to go and charge on there one day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One thing I should note is normally on this guy we've got cable management. We're on a on our show floor here, so we didn't really put the attachments here.
Sure.
But-
So that way they're not just going to be dragging.
Yeah, they're not going to be dragging, and that's like, no, that's not good. Normally, the thing is this will slow down.
Yeah.
ultimately. So this helps to just take that load off and make this less, cumbersome.
Right.
In terms of what you're actually putting out on it.
And you'll also have a Tesla option.
Oh yeah,
NACS
yeah,
option for this.
We already are still, we put that out with it as well.
Right.
They're available on both the NTS and the C6.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thanks for taking the time.
Absolutely.
Thanks for showing us.
Thanks for coming.
Congratulations on having the only working prototype.
Thank you.
NACS connector.
We'll
at
have
the
some more in the
whole
field very soon, so they'll be out in the next couple of weeks as well.
good.
Got some going live in the California area, and then some more nationwide as well.
show. Cool. And thanks to Brandon for filming this.
Brandon, thank you.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
Guys, I'm over here with my friend John at Stoutly. Well, I've heard your name. We've shown you in other tours before.
Right.
We've shown this in other tours
Yeah,
before.
so you may have seen this before. This was, an early iteration of Stoutly's MCS connector, part of Charin's test for megawatt charging. But since then, things have been progressing, moving along. We've actually got some production level tooling and molding, and this is kind of the next step, if you will.
So this is like a pre-production still.
Pre-production because
close.
the standard's, still in development, but, this is ready for testing.
So you can run current through this.
You can run current through this. It's ready to go.
Take a look in here. If you get up in close, you'll see some ribbed connections. What's going on with that?
Yeah, so those are Stoutly's multi-lamp bands. Those provide greater power carrying capacity as well as reduced resistance, which is great for high mating cycles when you're using these plugs every day.
Right, because they're going to be trucks that are in for 20 minutes, out, back in
and
doing
out.
that for 5 years or more.
Right, yes. And so longevity is key, reliability, uptime. No one likes pulling up to a connector and finding it dead. I think you guys know a lot about that.
Yes.
So that's kind of where we're coming in to support the industry there. Yeah.
That's amazing. I just can't wait to hook this thing up to my smart car and watch it explode. So
Yeah, half-second charge on the car.
That's
and-
right.
Yeah, so more suited for larger equipment, whether it's going to be, ferries, mining equipment, class 6, 7, 8 trucks.
Yeah, up to 3 megawatts this standard will support.
Right. So it's going to be megawatt charging, multi-megawatt charging for high-power vehicles, large battery pack machines.
And congrats to you guys for really pushing the industry along and getting a ready-to-use cable. Honestly, one of the first out there.
It is. Things are flying at rapid pace, but connectors are what we do and what we know very well. So it's exciting to be a part of this because it's the way everything's moving.
That's right. And MCS is a standard that Tesla's a part of. Everyone's a part of it. This is going to be pretty much the global standard for high power charging.
I believe so. That's what we're hearing, and that's the way it seems to go. There's a lot of good response, and people are ready to adopt it and test it.
Hell yeah. Well, you got the cables, you got the connectors. Nice work.
Yeah.
We'll see you at the next show.
That's great. Yeah,
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, later.
Guys, you joined me over here to check out the Zooster 100. So Zoot in Hebrew means move. And did I get that right?
Yes.
Great. So what the heck is this? Because I saw this and I know you guys said we had to swing by and it seems really cool.
Okay, so let's see the problem.
Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, as you can see here, the car is entering this place. Okay, we have a grid which allows to give you 70 kilowatt.
So you have a 70 kilowatt grid connection.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it will take around 26 minutes to charge this car.
Yes.
Okay. Then the second car we join this party.
Yes.
Okay, would like to charge. And now it will take 60 minutes to charge this car and 39 minutes to charge this one.
And that's because you're splitting the 70 kilowatt connection.
Exactly. Okay, and then the next car will come. Okay,
Right.
start cursing.
Yeah. I've been this guy before. I know this situation.
Okay, and of course he will run away.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the problem, and we're all familiar with this, right?
Yes.
So what is our solution? So for our solution, you have this box.
Okay.
Okay, we call it Zooster as
So your grid connection is going into this box.
going in parallel to this box and also to the chargers.
Okay.
Okay. So our solution, our Zooster will be able to provide 100 kilowatts.
So an additional 100 kilowatt. And obviously your grid connection has stayed the same. So how are you getting that additional power?
We will explain each other.
Great.
Okay. But let's see the movie. Okay. So this one will charge for 6 minutes. This one will join as well. And it will take around 39 minutes. Okay, splitting this 170 kilowatts.
Right.
Okay, now this car is leaving. The next car is coming. Okay.
Almost crashed. All good. Typical Tesla driver.
Right. Now this one, it will take around 15 minutes to charge this car, 30 minutes to charge this one.
Yes.
Next one will come. Now, this time you will say, I can wait. There's no problem because 15 minutes.
Sure, 15 minutes, not the end of the world. Absolutely.
Okay.
So the throughput has been increased substantially.
Exactly.
But what's in the box?
What's in the box? Okay. This is the box. Okay, but let's focus on the flywheels.
The flywheels. Aha, cool.
So this is a technology which is based on a flywheel. Okay, so here you can see a half a ton of steel out of flywheel.
Yeah.
Okay, which will receive the energy from the grid itself.
Yes.
Okay, it will reach 17k RPM.
17,000 RPM spinning.
Yes.
Does it make a lot of noise or is it quiet?
Now,
Pretty quiet?
it's quiet. It's much more quiet than the charger itself.
Oh, wow. That's
Okay.
cool. That's cool.
That's great. So, we have some magnets here that will limiting the flywheels.
Okay, just to keep it spinning without losses.
Exactly. And we will provide minimal pulse only in order to keep this speed.
So you're just there to pull a tiny bit of power just to maintain the 17. So that's where they're sitting most of the time. They're just spinning around until they start to get a load on them, and then they'll spin down. This is so cool.
And now a car will come, right? Okay, and then it will discharge the energy, the kinetic energy,
Yeah.
into the chargers and directly to them.
So what is the equivalent kilowatt hour in storage to one spinning wheel?
So it's basically a 100 kilowatt power.
Yes.
15, we can give it for 15 minutes constant.
Okay, so you can do 100 kilowatt power output for 15 minutes, and
Then
it can,
we need to recharge.
and then even after the end of that 15 minutes, it's still able to produce 100 kilowatts until it stops, or does it derate the power output as they start to spin down?
No, it's constant 100 kilowatts for 15 minutes. Then we need to recharge the Zooster. If the Zooster is fully recharged, it will take like 15 minutes to recharge.
Oh,
If
wow,
it's,
that's amazing.
Like half the discharge,
Yeah.
it take few minutes.
Yeah.
So you can run actually several cars.
Wow.
No problem.
That is pretty cool, and you have 4 of these, right?
We have 8.
You have 8.
Yes.
And was that per flywheel or per unit?
Per system.
Per system. Okay, per system. That is really cool. And what is the cost savings over an equivalent battery pack?
So if you compare it to batteries,
Yeah.
we have like the ROI probably after 3 or 4 years, we are better than batteries.
Okay, so
If
it's
you
still
look at
pretty
the-
expensive.
Yeah, but if you look at 10 years TCO,
Yes.
we are probably like double. Or
And that's because
half
it
the battery.
never needs to be replaced, right? It just works. What is the maintenance on something like this?
Maintenance will be mainly remotely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because it's a mechanical part and it's not chemical.
Right.
It's not built out of chemical. And from time to time, we need to replace some of the chemicals.
Some
of them. Exactly.
Okay.
Some of the earthing in the battery.
Once in 5 years, you need to replace oil. Once
okay.
years, you need to check it. It's not a
No. So once a year, someone goes and looks at it.
Yeah.
Ah, very cool.
In addition to that, okay, we have an EMS system
Okay.
which allows you to control the power in this station, including PV, if it's available, if it's part of this.
So you have a full centralized power handling unit
Mhm.
that can distribute the power, take it from wherever. That's cool. That's cool. And you just store it in terms of mechanical energy, right? Is that how it technically is? Yep.
It's kinetic power booster. Because
Yeah, kinetic power booster. Okay, very cool.
And of course, this solution can fit as well to, to a fleet,
Yes.
okay? It can be easily be scalable. As you can see here, which means that you can add additional chargers And at some point of time, if needed, we can add an additional Zooster to this.
Right, and then it's 200 kilowatts. Yeah, nice. Or 100 kilowatts for twice as long. However you want to do it, I guess. Well, thank you guys so much for showing me that. I really appreciate it. Welcome to YouTube. And this is a really cool solution. I love to see it. If we can ever film with one that's installed in the public, please let us know, because we'd love to go film this. So keep us updated on the first one.
Okay, we'll do it.
Well, and now you join me after many long days at the expo, and wow, what a cool experience. I promised you some thoughts on the end of this video about, I would say, the general consensus of what everyone's thinking about this CCS versus NACS movement. And I think it's really interesting. Of course, there's varying opinions, but there's a few things that are worth bringing up. The first is, and it's important to remind everyone of this always, NACS isn't the savior that maybe some people think it is. And this is probably a very few small subset of people, but ultimately changing a connector on a charger doesn't make it work any better. It doesn't make really anything better. So the reliability of third-party chargers will not change by adding NACS to that charger. Now, you could argue, okay, because the latch is on the vehicle side and we don't have the little latch from the handle, it could be a little bit better. Yes, I agree, but it's not a magical, gonna fix the derating, the cable cooling issues, all the problems we have with normal DC fast charging equipment in our market. This isn't gonna solve. So it's important to get that right off the bat. The benefits, which I think some people at the event aren't quite seeing, would be to Ford and GM at the moment, and future automakers I'm sure that will announce, is that their drivers, you guys, whoever buys cars with native NACS connections on them, will be able to kind of skip the BS of the third-party public networks that we're dealing with today and have the availability to take your money elsewhere. Go to a different charging provider, go to Tesla and charge on proven, very high-quality charging equipment. The big question becomes, now that NACS is fully opening, I also imagine the supercharger network at some point will fully open to all cars. Of course, right now the announcements have really been that Ford and GM will have access to the superchargers with their native NACS connections and through an adapter starting early next year. I imagine anyone with the adapter will be able to charge at least some, if not all, superchargers. It's not been announced how Tesla is going to do it. I think they're going to have to open it up to a few sites publicly. And the question becomes of interoperability at that point. We've already seen Tesla have issues charging eGMP cars with Magic Dock. Honestly, the other cars seem to be pretty good, but those problems have been around for months now. Since Magic Dock came out, we're still seeing them have issues charging eGMP cars. So, Tesla's been able to very reliably charge their cars on their charging equipment in a closed loop ecosystem. As soon as they start opening up to other automakers and other manufacturers, it's very important that Tesla works with all cars to make sure that they're interoperable and they conform to their standard. And what is that standard and how should that be put? Well, we all know, I did a whole video about this, Tesla connector is going to use ISO 15118-2. The communication is going to be the same as CCS, which is why they're interoperable with adapters, which is truly great. And, it's just going to be a question of, we need to make sure Tesla is going to keep the supercharger network reliable by testing with all of these vehicles. The second concern generally of the entire industry of three is an independent standards organization to, basically not monopolize the connector, not have the connector in the hands of one company that can make all the decisions. And this I actually can get behind. I think in order for automakers to feel comfortable, like I mentioned when we were at the Charin booth, in order for, just people to know what the heck to spec their cable designs and inlet ports and outlet ports designs to be, there needs to be a body responsible for NACS. Now, whether or not that's one company as Tesla, I don't think I actually see that being viable into the future. I don't see Volkswagen Group ever feeling comfortable going to Tesla for interoperability testing with their prototype vehicles. and letting Tesla have all the data and Tesla running this whole thing. So I think the NACS connector standard will move to an independent organization. Now, whether or not that's Charin or it's another one, it doesn't actually matter to me, but I do think we need an independent standardization. Most likely it will be Charin. There are some risks from that too. Charin is slow. I like Charin. I like the people at Charin, but they worry about every detail and it kind of slows things down. Also, it's kind of good that they worry about every detail because we end up with hopefully safer and more interoperable connections, but also maybe not as streamlined and bulky and communications that can be quite frustrating. So it is a little bit of a double-edged sword here, but I think ultimately we're going to see NACS go into some independent body, a consortium of people from the industry to work on the standard, make it a standard, and really support this from an independent standpoint. I hope we see Ford join this. I hope we see GM join this. I hope we see Tesla join this. ABB already have. Actually, Ford may have already as well, but not GM and not Tesla yet. So I hope to hear in the coming days, I know the conversations are happening on the back end, that we see Tesla join Charin and this becomes a much more comfortable place for automakers to then step foot into. The next consideration for NACS is, well, is Tesla going to sell cables or are there going to be third-party cables available out there? And currently no one can sell a third-party cable that I'm aware of, at least at this event, because maybe they could sell a third-party cable for you to put on your charger and do demonstration charging and things like we saw at XCharge, and that's great. But can you go to Amphenol? Can you go to Brugg? Can you go to Phoenix Contact and buy a Tesla cable from your existing supplier? They're all working on it, but what they don't know to work on is what is the spec? What's the cycle life expectancy? What are the actual, materials that need to go in there for it to last a long time? And these are things that would come from having an independent organization like Charin or similar manage NACS. And so, again, it's very early days. We're years away from seeing this on the inlet port of a vehicle. 2025 start of production for the two automakers that have joined with Tesla. This is going to be a 4 or 5 year transition. But ultimately, I think everyone's on the same page. It's not if, it's when. I spoke to automakers. I spoke to charge point operators. I spoke to charging hardware manufacturers. And the charge point operators, EVgo announcing they're all in. They're going to install NACS natively on their chargers at full speed, full capability. As an example, the charging hardware manufacturers, they're just going to buy the Tesla cable and let the user spec the charger with it. They don't care. They're getting all the free press right now. They're showing they're in the game. They're ready to win. Those that have announced switching, and we've seen Alpitronic, Flow, FreeWire, XCharge, of course. Tritium had a huge announcement as well that they're going to support NACS. So many. ChemPower. I mean, the list goes on and on. They're all supporting NACS. And why wouldn't they? They don't care. So that's great. The big question becomes, from an interoperability standpoint, there's a little bit extra confusion around, okay, how do you handle the AC and DC pins handling the power? On the car side, it requires a little bit extra switching and coding. On the vehicle side, adapter usage, are they only, I feel that only approved OE rated adapters or even a third-party adapter rating should be used, because I checked out some of these sketchy third-party adapters at the show, and like the temperature sensors are super wonky and like not built well, and I'm like, that might work for like the first 2 charges, but try plugging that thing in after 1 million cycles after 5 years. Like, don't bring that to a charger. It could be dangerous, actually. So I have a concern about sketchy adapters out there. And I really hope that you guys just go with the OE ones. If you're thinking about buying a CCS to Tesla adapter, if you own a Tesla right now, just get the factory one. It's not that much more expensive than the other ones out there. It has built-in temperature monitoring. I'm not going to say it's the safest thing than having just a native connection, because ultimately you are adding more connection failure points, but it's much better than some of the third-party ones out there. So ultimately, we still have some ways to go for NACS. No question, the interface is so much nicer than CCS. Everyone's coming up to me, and some people are like, you're totally right. CCS is dead. Everyone saw the video at the event, which was really funny. And some people are like, yeah, well, it's kind of always going to be around. Or some people are like, it's going to be around for 4 or 5 years. But I think our video really, truly, that title getting shared all around through different charging groups set the tone. I hope, at least this is my impression. I can only share what I can share or what I perceive. Really set the tone for like, okay, hardcore NACS. all these announcements, Charin now supporting it, third party, to create a consortium around NACS. They're not ready to say CCS is dead. That's their baby. But, we're making some progress here. And ultimately, we need to see reliable adapters that work both ways. We need to see connectors that come through with specs. We need Tesla to really tell us a little bit more about how they are going to handle the data, how they're going to handle access to the supercharger network. There's a lot of unknowns, but we're heading in that direction. And so that's the general consensus from everyone too. Everyone understands we're heading in that direction. And I think it's a great thing for the industry. Some people are like, well, it leaves the early adopters, in a bit of a pinch. And I'm like, I totally agree. But every day that goes on from now will be harder to transition than the day before. So we just have to do it as soon as possible. And if it doesn't work now, if for whatever reason, and I don't expect this to happen, if CCS happens to win after this NACS major speed bump, then we will never be able to change it ever again. But I truly believe we're going to become a NACS country. Talking to some automakers as well, there's an extra cost involved because now they have to develop their cars with an entirely new standard, a different charge controller in the vehicle, because again, that AC-DC sharing the lines, it adds cost, it adds complexity, yes, but it also leads to a better user experience. It's a nicer connector. You have access natively to the best charging network in our country, which can reduce a lot of the problems, especially if Tesla opens up and becomes interoperable with multiple vehicles. Either way, we're not going to have a shortage of content over the next 4 years about this transition. I'm so excited for it. That's my impression. That's everyone's impressions. Leave a comment below with what you thought about this. Will you visit, what is it called again, Alyssa? The show we were at?
EVS.
Why can't I think of this? It's EVS. Will you visit EVS in Korea next year? I'm not sure if we will, but I'd like to go. Definitely have to get over there. Can't thank you enough for watching this long video. I hope if you weren't able to attend EVS, it kind of felt like you were there. And I will see you on another video soon. Thanks so much for watching. If we didn't get to your booth at EVS, I'm sorry. Let us know. Email us before next show, and we'll make sure to get you in the video, because we skipped probably half the show, but I tried to get some of the big stuff for you guys. Again, thanks so much for watching. See you in another one soon. Bye-bye.